mandatory military service, the 7 members of BTS are finally back together. But this is not just some reunion tour, no, this is a reinvention. They've come back, not just as they were, but as something entirely new, forged by time, by experience, and by a bond that has been seriously tested and proven. So let's dive in and explore what this next chapter is really all about.
You can just imagine, for the members and for their millions of fans, that moment they were all together again. It had to be surreal. I mean, after so much time apart, living totally separate lives, the simple act of just being in the same room must have felt both completely natural and, at the same time, strangely new. And Jin, he captured this feeling perfectly. He said it felt like going back to the past. And that's such a fascinating idea, right? It's this blend of deep nostalgia for their early days, mixed with the strangeness of coming back to something so familiar after they'd all grown so much on their own. So to make that transition real, they didn't just jump right back into a recording studio. They made a choice. They decided to live and work together again, renting a villa in Los Angeles for a 2-month session. RM actually called this whole period a big transition that felt like a dream, a really deliberate step to rebuild their dynamic from the ground up.
This slide just captures the difference between then and now perfectly. On the left, you see their early days, right? Living together was something they had to do. They were rookies trying to survive in a tough industry. But now, look at the right, the LA session. As global superstars, this was a conscious, deliberate choice. They've gone from these tiny shared rooms to a private villa, from fighting to prove themselves to intentionally redefining what BTS even means in this new era.
And you can just hear the joy in Jin's voice when he talked about their time in LA. He described this simple, happy routine they fell into, waking up, eating together, working out, heading to the studio, and then coming home together. It was in those quiet, everyday moments that they found their rhythm again as a group. He called it an incredibly happy time.
But you know, this reunion wasn't just about getting the band back together. It was about integrating 7 men who had each walked their own unique path for a while. And all that individual growth, it completely transformed their group dynamics, especially when it came to the role of their leader. Which brings up this really fascinating question, one the group had to face head-on. With everyone now in their 30s, with solo careers and military experience under their belts, how does a leader's role change when everyone on the team has become a leader in their own right?
And you've got to hand it to RM. He was incredibly open about this struggle. He admitted that he often put way too much pressure on himself, always feeling like he had to be the one to do something or speak for the team. Can you imagine carrying that weight for over a decade?
And this is where you really see that shift in his whole mindset. On the left, you see the leader RM felt he had to be, the guy out front, carrying the full weight of the group on his shoulders. But now, on the right, you see the leader he's becoming, one of the 7. He's learning to trust his members' unspoken support, to let go of that intense pressure, and to just go with the flow. It's a huge move from shouldering the burden alone to truly sharing the journey.
And while RM was reflecting on his role, Jin offered this really powerful perspective. He actually credits RM's guidance for helping the members grow to truly love music. It just goes to show you that from a member's point of view, RM's leadership was already a huge success, creating the very foundation that allows for this new evolution to even happen.
So naturally, all this personal evolution is deeply reflected in their new music. To move forward, it seems they first had to look back to their roots, their history, and what it really means to be a Korean artist representing their culture on the world stage.
RM explained that when they were searching for a single word to unify them, they landed on Arirang. And this is so much more than just a song. It's like a piece of the Korean soul. It's a centuries-old folk melody that expresses this deep, bittersweet longing for home, a powerful feeling they all felt so intensely during their time apart.
So, choosing Arirang for their album title, wow, that was such a powerful statement. It's their way of saying, this is where we come from, this is our foundation. But the beauty of it is how universal it is. You don't have to be Korean to get that feeling of longing, of nostalgia for a place or a time. It became the one keyword that could weave their 7 separate journeys back into one single, cohesive story.
All right, so after hitting this unprecedented level of success, fulfilling their national duty, and reuniting with a renewed sense of who they are, what comes next? Well, for BTS, it's all about forging a new legacy.
And this, right here, is the key takeaway. This reunion isn't a victory lap. It's not about trying to recreate their past glories. As RM puts it, this is a new chapter. And that comes with a massive challenge, showing the world a more mature an evolved version of themselves.
You know, when they ask him why even choose to continue, RM's answer was so simple and so profound. It came down to avoiding future regret. He just didn't want to look back years from now and think, man, we shouldn't have stopped something so precious and unique.
And at the absolute heart of it all is this one realization. The bond they share is completely irreplaceable. They met when they were just kids, basically, and for over half their lives, they've been each other's constant. As RM put it so beautifully, they symbolize his youth, and he knows he'll never meet people like them again.
And that leaves us with his final big question, doesn't it? Their first chapter was all about climbing the mountain of success. This next chapter seems to be about what they decide to build at the summit. It's not about how big you can get anymore, but about how you evolve and what you leave behind. For BTS, the real work of building a legacy, it seems like it's just begun.